everyone, welcome to the solutions for 3.2.4 in our CPM book. So we are going to start with adding and subtracting fractions and hint find the common denominator. So for letter A, it says 2/3 plus 1/4. There's a lot of different ways that you can do this. One thing that's different when you're adding and subtracting is you have to have the same denominator. So you want to find something that they have in common. A way that I like to write it is taking, just writing them on top of each other like this, and thinking about something that 3 and 4 have in common together, right? Like a least common multiple or just something that they have in common. It doesn't necessarily have to be the least, but that usually works out best. I know that they have 12 in common. And when I think about, well, how do I get from 4 to 12? That's by multiplying by 3. So then you do that same thing to the top. You times by 3. 1 times 3 is 3. Same thing here. How do I get from 3 to 12? Well, I times by 4. So I'll do that to the top. I'll times by 4. So 2 times 4 is 8. So now I'm left with 8 over 12 plus 3 over 12. 8 plus 3 is 11. I can't simplify, so I'm going to leave it as 11 over 12. For the next one, I've got 1/2 plus 1/3, so same idea. This is how I like to write it. You might do it a little differently. And when I think about something they have in common, I know that they have 6. So 3 times 2 gets me to 6, so 1 times 2 would give me 2. And 2 times 3 gets me to 6, so I'll take 1 times 3, which is 3. So I'm left with 3 over 6 plus 2 over 6, so that's 5 over 6. All right, for C, we've got 3/5 minus 1/10. So same idea, but it is minus. If I've got this. So I do know that 5 could be changed to have a denominator of 10 by just timesing by 2. So now they technically do have the same, so I can just leave this as 6/10 minus 1/10, which gives me 5/10, which could also be simplified to be a 1/2. All right, so now that we reviewed adding and subtracting fractions, let's try this with rational expressions. So we've got 3/5, or 3 over x minus 5 plus 2 over x plus 1. So we have the same idea. We do need to have a common denominator. So you could rewrite it. And I'm going to do a little bit of highlighting here. So if we've got x minus 5 and x plus 1, to make them have the same denominator, basically we're multiplying like to each other. So to have the same denominator, I want to take my x minus 5 and I'm going to multiply it to x plus 1. Okay, so I'm going to do that. But then what I did to get from here to here, let me use a different color, was I multiplied by x plus 1. Okay, so you're going to do that same thing to the top. That looks like a plus times. All right, so then I'm left with 3 times x plus 1 in the numerator. And same idea with the bottom. We want to make this, so we've got our x plus 1, but we want to add that x minus 5 to it. So what I did was I multiplied x minus 5. So you do that same thing to the top. So you're left with 2 times x minus 5. Okay. We could do a little bit of simplifying because we can distribute. So this becomes 3x plus 3 over x minus 5 times x plus 1. And if I distribute here, this becomes 2x minus 10 over x plus 1, x minus 5. So now, because they have the same denominator, we can add the numerator. So that leaves us with 3x plus 3 plus 2x minus 10 all over x minus 5, x plus 1, or either order, it doesn't matter. Then we can combine our like terms. So we've got 5x minus 7 all over x minus 5, x plus 1. All right, so let's go to letter B. We've got 3 over x minus 1 over x minus 1. So I've got 3 over x minus 1 over x minus 2. So we're going to do the same thing. We need them to have the same denominator. Okay, so to do that, we're still going to have our x minus 2 here and our x here, but we need to multiply by the other one. So here I'm going to multiply by x minus 2. So now I've got it there. And then I'll do the same thing to the top. So this will be 3 times x minus 2. Okay. Then to the bottom, 1 over x minus 2, I will multiply by x on the top and bottom. So I've got 1x here, and then just add in that x. Okay, so now we can take, well, we could distribute as well right here. So just like what we did before, I distributed, we rewrote it, and then combined the denominators. So this becomes 3x minus 6 all over x times x minus 2 minus 1x over x minus 2 times x. And so now I can combine the denominators. So we've just got 3x minus 6 minus 1x over x minus 2. Combine our like terms here. We've got 3x minus 1x. So that becomes 2x minus 6 over x times x minus 2. All right, so the next ones, the directions say use the methods developed in class to add or subtract the following rational expressions. Be sure to look for factors before trying to determine a common denominator and simplify your answers if possible. So one thing that I notice about letter A here, we have got 4x divided by x squared minus 2x minus 8 plus 4 over x minus 4. Right away I can see here that this needs to be factored. So I need to think about what multiplies to be negative 8 but adds or subtracts to be negative 2. So that would be negative 4 and plus 2. All right, so let's rewrite this. So I've got 4 over x minus 4, x plus 2, plus 4 over x minus 4. Okay, so we do need them to have a similar denominator. One thing that I notice right away is that we've got these x minus 4s here. They both have it. So the only thing that we're missing is that x plus 2. So I could multiply just this part to the x plus 2, so then they would have the same denominator. So I'm going to leave the top to just be the same. And I'm going to take the bottom. I'm going to multiply both times x plus 2. So that leaves me with 4 times x plus 2 all over x minus 4, x plus 2. Oh, sorry, I forgot the x up here. There we go. So now I'm left with 4x over x minus 4, x plus 2, plus, and I'm going to go ahead and distribute. So this is 4x plus 8 all over x minus 4, x plus 2. I can now combine the denominators here. And we can combine the like terms. 4x plus 4x is 8x. So we have 8x plus 8 over x minus 4, x plus 2. All right, part B. So we've got 16x minus 12 over 4x plus 5x minus 6 minus 3 over x plus 2. So a couple things that I'm noticing right away would be some factoring that we need to do here. However, our a is not equal to 1, so we're going to want to do the diamond method. So let's just make like a kind of a side note over here. So we've got 4x squared plus 5x minus 6. So if I make my diamond, I'm going to take the 5x and put it here, our bx. And then I'll take our a and c, so our 4x squared minus 6, and multiply those together and put those here. Okay. Now we need to find the numbers to go here. So you have to think to yourself, well, what multiplies to be negative 24, but adds or subtracts to be 5? So we've got 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8. So when I think, well, which of these pairs here could add or subtract to be 5? Let's look at the 8 and 3. If I do 8 minus 3, well, that's 5, and 8 times negative 3 gives me negative 24. So I'm going to put an 8x here and a minus 3x here. And now we can make a box. Okay. And now I'm going to take our original 4x squared or ax squared and put that here. And then our original minus 6, the c, I'm going to put that here. And then split up the 8x and minus 3x. So then I think, okay, well, what can I take out of here? What's their greatest common factors here? I think they both just have an x in common. So x times what gives me 4x squared? That would be a 4x. And x times what gives me negative 3x? That would just be a negative 3. 4x times what gives me 8x? That would be a negative, or a positive 2. And 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. So I've got x plus 2, 4x minus 3. So I now know that this is x plus 2 and 4x minus 3. So let's go ahead and rewrite this. So we've got 16x minus 12 over x plus 2, 4x minus 3, minus 3 over x plus 2. So I do see that we almost have common denominator here. We're just missing that 4x minus 3 part. So if I were to rewrite these, and change, I could leave this one exactly the same. Okay, and then for the bottom, I can go ahead and multiply by 4x minus 3 on the top and bottom. leaving me with 3 times 4x minus 3 and x plus 2 times 4x minus 3. So now they have the same denominator. So let's rewrite everything. I'm going to make this here just a little smaller. No, I can't. Okay. So I'm going to rewrite this here. So we've got 16x minus 12 over x plus 2, 4x minus 3 minus, and let's go ahead and just distribute that 3 times 4x times 3 times negative 3. So it's 12x minus 9 all over x plus 2, 4x minus 3. We can combine. So we've got 16x minus 12 minus 12x minus 9 all over x plus 2, 4x minus 3. Let's combine our like terms. So we've got 16x minus 12x, that would be 4x, and negative 12, oh, sorry, when I distribute here, so one thing that I wanted to, that I didn't totally address here, this is actually going to be a plus 9, because when if I would have left this as 4x minus 3, this is technically here a negative 3, so I'd be negative 3 times 4x and then negative 3 times negative 3. So that makes this become 12x plus 9. Sorry, I apologize for that. So this is a plus 9. So then that leaves us with the minus 3, negative 12 plus 9, all over x plus 2, 4x minus 3. And our numerators, our numerator and denominator right here can cancel the 4x minus 3's. So that leaves me with 1 over x plus 2. Okay, so now let's get back to multiplication here. So it says simplify the rational expressions below as much as possible. So when I look at A, I see x minus 4 cubed times 2x minus 1 over 2x minus 1 times x minus 4 squared. So one thing we could do is just write them out. So I have x minus 4, x minus 4, and let's do some canceling. So x minus 4 goes, x minus 1. So I'm just left with, looks like just 1x minus 4. Okay, so let's look at B. I've got 7m squared minus 22m plus 3 over 3m squared minus 7m minus 6. So we actually do need to do some factoring here, and we need to do the diamond method for both of these. So let's start with 7m squared minus 22m plus 3. So I'm going to put my bx in the middle, so then minus 22m will go right here. And 7m squared plus 3, 7 times 3 is 21. So this will be 21m squared. And we have to think what multiplies to be 21, but adds or subtracts to be negative 22. So I've got negative 21 minus 1, that's negative 22. And negative 21 times negative 1 gives me positive 21. Or sorry, this should be a 21 here. Okay, so I'm going to put minus 21m here and minus 1m here. Make our box. So the 7m squared from the beginning comes here, and the 3 goes here, and minus 21m. When I think about for the top line, what do they have in common? They both have at least an m. M times what gives me 7m squared? That would be 7m. And m times what gives me negative 1m? That's a negative 1. Then we've got 7m times what gives me negative 21m? That would be a negative 3. And is negative 3 times negative 1, 3? Yes. So that means this is 7m minus 1 and m minus 3. Okay, just get this out of the way. Now let's look at 3m squared minus 7m minus 6. So we'll make our diamond. Negative 7m goes here. 3 times negative 6, that's negative 18m squared. So what multiplies to be negative 18 but adds or subtracts to be negative 7? So let's think about our factors of 18. We have 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 6. Negative 9 plus 2 is negative 7, and negative 9 times 2 is negative 18. So I'll put a negative 9m and a 2m here. Okay. So now let's make our box. So I'll put the original 3m squared here and our original c, negative 6 here, negative 9m, and 2m. So when I look here, what do these two have in common? It looks like just an m. M times 3m gives me 3m squared, and m times 2 gives me 2m. 3m times negative 3 gives me negative 9m. And negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. So that leaves me with 3m plus 2 times m minus 3. Okay, so now that we've factored, now we can start replacing and simplifying here. All right, so this becomes 7m minus 1 over m minus 3 and 3m plus 2 over m minus 3. It looks like both of these m minus 3's can cancel. So we're just left with 7m minus 1 over 3m plus 2. Okay, so let's look at letter C. So C says, so we've got z plus 2 to the 9th power times 4z minus 1 to the 7th power over z plus 2 to the 10th power over 4z minus 1 to the 5th power. So this one, like, we could do what we did above and write them all out, but that's a lot of them. So let's think back to, like, you know, our exponent rules. If I've got z plus 2 to the 9th power over z plus 2 to the 10th power, we could just take z plus 2 and subtract 9 minus 10. So that leaves us with 1 over z plus 2. And then we've got 4z minus 1 to the 7th power over 4z minus 1 to the 5th power. So that's 4z minus 1 to the we can do 7 minus 5. So that's 4z minus 1 squared. So this would be 4z minus 1 squared all over z plus 2. All right, letter D. I do see we've got some factoring to do here. So let's make some changes. So what multiplies to be 9 but adds or subtracts to be negative 6? I think that would be minus 3 and minus 3, because negative 3 times negative 3 is 9, and negative 3 minus 3 is negative 6. Now remember, x squared minus 4. So I see a subtraction. We've got our x squared, a subtraction sign, and a perfect square. So I know that this becomes x plus 2, x minus 2. Remember, like, x squared minus 4 we know is x plus 2, x minus 2. X squared minus 9 is x plus 3, x minus 3. X squared minus 16 is x plus 4, x minus 4, and so on, okay? So don't forget about that. That's a nice kind of trick, I guess. So I can rewrite this to be x plus 2 times x minus 3 all over x minus 3 times x plus 2 x minus 2. Let's do some canceling. We can get rid of the x plus 2's and an x minus 3. So we're just left with x minus 3 over x minus 2. All right, so the second page, we've got 5, A through D, and then number 6. So looking at 5A, so we've got multiplication here. I think the best thing to do is start figuring out what it is that we can cancel. So I see that we have x plus 7's here. I can cancel those. 2x minus 5's, we can cancel those. And I think that's it. But let's see what we're left with. So if I rewrite it, let's take this 10 here, and I'll write that out front. And we're left with the 3x minus 1 all over 4 times 4x plus 1. 10 over 4, if we simplify that, that could be 5 over 2. We can go ahead and leave it like that. For B, I do see this division sign, right? So when we've got division, we then need to change it to multiplication and flip and make this the reciprocal. So this is m minus 3 times m plus 11 all over 2m plus 5 times m minus 3 times, so we've got 4m minus 3 times 2m plus 1, or 5 all over 4m minus 3 over m plus 11. And let's start doing some canceling. So we can cancel 4m minus 3's. We've got 2m plus 5, m plus 11, and we have m minus 3's. Everything canceled. How nice is that? So our answer is just 1. All right, so let's go ahead and look at letter C. So letter C, we've got a lot to do here. We've got a lot of factoring. And I see that A is only equal to 1 times, so we're going to have to do the diamond method here. So let's go ahead and start with 2p squared plus 5p minus 12. And remember, if you're struggling with your diamond method stuff, that's a great thing to talk to your teacher about, or, you know, do some more practice. Because I'm not really teaching the diamond method right now. That's just something I'm doing that we've already learned. So make sure you ask about that. Put the bx here, multiply a x squared times c, so that will be negative 24p squared. What multiplies to be 24 but adds or subtracts to be 5. Let's see, we've got 8 minus 3 is 5, and 8 times negative 3 is negative 24. So I'll put an 8p and a minus 3p here. When I make my box, I use my original a x squared, so that's 2p squared and negative 12, and then 8p and negative 3p. When I see what I can pull out from the top line, that would just be a p. P times 2p gives me 2p squared, and p times negative 3 gives me negative 3p. 2p times what is 8p? That would be 4. And to check, 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. So we've got p plus 4 times 2p minus 3. So sweet, we did that one. So I can go ahead and even write that above it just so we know. We've got p plus 4 and 2p minus 3 here. Get it out of the way. Okay, next let's look at this one, 2p squared minus 5p plus 3. So making my diamond, negative 5p goes here. 2p squared times 3 is 6p squared. What multiplies to be 6 but adds or subtracts to be negative 5? Negative 2 minus 3 is negative 5, and negative 2 times negative 3 is 6. So I'll put a negative 2p here and negative 3p here. I'm making my box. We put the 2p squared here and the 3. P comes out here. And 2p times negative 1 would give me negative 2. Okay, so we finished this one. And I'll rewrite that up here. P minus 1 times 2p minus 3. And then we've got one more to diamond method. For this one, we can just factor. So we've got p and p. What multiplies to be negative 9, but adds or subtracts to be 8. Well, if we took 9 minus 1, so 9 minus 1 is 8, and 9 times negative 1 is negative 9. So that works. So very last one for diamond method, we've got 3p squared plus 10p minus 8. 10p goes in the middle. 3 times negative 8 would give us a negative 24p squared. So what multiplies to be 24 but adds or subtracts to be 10? I think that would be 12 and 2, right? Because 12 minus 2 is 10, and 12 times negative 2 is negative 24. So I'll put a 12p and a negative 2p here. Making my box. 3p squared goes here, negative 8 goes here, and 12p and negative 2p. So I'll take out a p. 3p times 4 would give me 12p. So I'm left with p plus 4 times 3p minus 2. So I'll go ahead and write that up here. All right, so now we can go ahead and start rewriting everything in factoring. So I've now got p plus 4 times 2p minus 3 all over p minus 1 times 2p minus 3 times p plus 9 times p minus 1 all over p plus 4 times 3p minus 2. So when we start thinking about canceling, we can cancel the p plus 4s here. We've got p minus 1s and 2p minus 3. So I think all we're left with after all that work is just p plus 9 over 3p minus 2. Okay, letter D. So we're really close to being done here. Where's that? Get it out of the way. All right. So letter D says 3x minus 12 divided by 2x squared minus 13, or sorry, over x squared plus 3x minus 10 divided by 2x squared minus 13x plus 21 over 2x squared plus 3x minus 35. So a couple things to think about. I do see that we can factor here, and we also need to make this multiplication and flip. And we need to factor all of them, but here we can do that without the diamond method. We need to see what we can pull out here. So their greatest common factor, we've got 3, leaving us with x minus 4. And then what multiplies to be negative 10 but adds or subtracts to be 3, I think that would be x plus 5 times x minus 2. And then we need to flip these. So if I were to rewrite what we've got so far, that would be 3 times x minus 4 over x plus 5, x minus 2 times, now I'm going to flip these here. So this will be 2x squared plus 3x minus 35 over 2x squared minus 13x plus 21. Okay, so let's go ahead and factor these. We'll use the diamond method. So let's start with 2x squared plus 3x minus 35. So put the 3x here. 2x squared times negative 35, that would be negative 70x squared. What multiplies to be negative 70 but adds or subtracts to be 3. So when I think about factors of 70, I've got 1 and 70, 2 and 35, 5 and 14, and 7 and 10. Ooh, how about 7 and 10? Right, because 10 minus 7 gives me 3, and 10 times negative 7 gives me negative 70. So I can put 10x and minus 7x. So now let's go ahead and make our box. So we've got 2x squared and negative 35, and then we've got our 10x and negative 7x. So here, it looks like I can pull out an x. So 2x and negative 7. This is 5. So we've got 2x minus 7 times x plus 5. So we got that first one done. Good. Okay, so we can even make a little note over here if we'd like to, that this is 2x minus 7 times x plus 5. All right. And then let's do the second part here. So we've got 2x squared minus 13x plus 21. So we'll put the minus 13x here and take 2x squared times 21. So that'll give me 42x squared. So we think what multiplies to be 42 but adds or subtracts to be negative 13. So when I think about my factors here, how about 6 and 7? If we do minus 6 minus 7, that would be negative 13. And negative 6 times negative 7 gives me 42. So I'll put negative 6x and negative 7x here. Okay. So when we make our box, we take the 2x squared from the beginning, place it in the upper left, and then 21, place it in the lower right. And then we've got negative 6x and negative 7x. Here I can take out an x. And 2x times negative 3 would give me negative 6x. So this leaves me with 2x minus 7 times x minus 3. So I'm going to go ahead and make a note. So that's 2x minus 7 times x minus 3. All right. So now let's go ahead and rewrite. So this becomes 3 times x minus 4 over x plus 5 x minus 2 times 2x minus 7 times x plus 5 over 2x minus 7 times x minus 3. All right, so let's see what we can cancel. We've got these 2x minus 7s that can go and these x plus 5s that can go. So I think what that leaves us with on the top would be 3 times x minus 4, and on the bottom we've got x minus 2, x minus 3. All right, that one was a lot of work, huh? Okay, so let's go to number 6. A, B, and C here are just reviews. Review questions with functions. So we've got if f of x is equal to 3x minus 9 and g of x is equal to negative x squared, find. So for A, they're asking f of negative 2. So all that's really saying is take your f of x function and we are going to plug a negative 2 in for x. So this becomes 3 times negative 2 minus 9. So that's negative 6 minus 9, which gives us negative 15. Okay, if we've got g of negative 2, that means basically just take your g of x function and plug it in. So we've got negative and then negative 2 squared. So that leaves us with negative 2 squared is positive 4, and we've got that negative, so this is 4. And then if f of x is equal to 0, so that's saying we're using our f of x function, but they're saying f of x is equal to 0. So that means we've got 0 equals 3x minus 9. We'll add 9 to each side, divide by 3, so 3 is equal to x. Okay, well, that was a really long assignment. It took a while, but way to work hard. And if you have any questions, make sure to check in with your teacher. Thanks, have a good day.